Hello and welcome to MimiLeaks. Today I will be reading the unsealed indictment of Eric Adams. Adams is the New York mayor, took office in January 2022. He's 64 and he's a former police officer and Brooklyn Borough president. He joined the New York City Police Department in 1984, eventually rising through the ranks to become a captain. After leaving the police force, Adams entered politics, serving as New York State Senator from 2007 to 2013. He was elected Brooklyn Borough President in 2014, until elected mayor in 2021. His mayoral campaign emphasized a vision of a safer, more equitable city. Adams's popularity has fluctuated a bit since he took office. Public opinion's mixed, with some residents praising his leadership and others expressing concern about his policies. The indictment, brought by Southern District of New York, was unsealed on Thursday, September 26th, and includes allegations of conspiracy, wire fraud, and bribery. The indictment also alleges the solicitation and acceptance of foreign money from wealthy foreign individuals, including at least one in the Turkish government. He is the first mayor of New York City to face any criminal charges while serving in office, and faces up to 45 years in prison if convicted on all counts and given the maximum sentence. That's a little bit of background into Eric Adams, and before I get started, please like and subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for those that have done so already. I would love a shout out if you use any content, and I invite you to do so. Also, I keep saying Eric Andre for some reason, but hopefully I will get the last name and person correct in this recording. It's the first time I've seen this document, and I will do my best to read the information and abbreviate where possible. And with that, let's get into it. United States of America versus Eric Adams. Overview. In 2014, Eric Adams, the defendant, became Brooklyn Borough President. Therefore, for nearly a decade, he sought and accepted improper valuable benefits, such as luxury international travel, from wealthy foreign business people, and at least one Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. By 2018, Adams, who had then made known his plans to run for mayor of New York City, not only accepted, but sought illegal campaign contributions to his 2021 mayoral campaign, as well as other things of value from foreign nationals. As Adams' prominence and power grew, his foreign national benefactors sought to cash in on their corrupt relationships with him, particularly when, in 2021, it became clear that Adams would become New York City's mayor. Adams agreed, providing favorable treatment in exchange for the illicit benefits he received. After his inauguration as mayor of New York City, Adams soon began preparing for his next election, including by planning to solicit more illegal contributions and granting requests from those who supported his 2021 mayoral campaign with such donations. Eric Adams, the defendant, sought and accepted illegal campaign contributions in the form of nominee or straw contributions, meaning that the true contributors conveyed their money through nominal donors, who falsely certified they were contributing with their own money. By smuggling their contributions to Adams through U.S.-based straw donors, Adams' overseas contributors defeated federal laws that serve to prevent foreign influence on U.S. elections. Wealthy individuals evaded laws designed to limit their power over elected officials by restricting the amount any one person can donate to a candidate. And businesses circumvented New York City's ban on corporate contributions by funneling their donations through multiple employees, frustrating a law that seeks to reduce corporate power in politics. Adams increased his fundraising by accepting these concealed illegal donations at the cost of giving his secret patrons the undue influence over him that the law tries to prevent. Eric Adams, the defendant, compounded his gains from the straw contributions by using them to defraud NYC and steal public funds. NYC has a matching funds program that matches small dollar contributions from individual city residents with up to 8 times their amount in public funds, to give New Yorkers a greater voice in elections. Adams' campaigns applied for matching funds based on known straw donations, fraudulently obtaining as much as $2,000 in public funds for each illegal contribution. Adams and those working at his direction falsely certified compliance with applicable program finance regulations, despite Adams' repeat acceptance of straw donors, relying on the concealed nature of those illegal contributions to falsely portray his campaigns as law-abiding. As a result of those false certifications, Adams' 2021 mayoral campaign received more than $10 million in public funds. Eric Adams, the defendant, also sought and received improper benefits from some of the same co-conspirators who funneled straw donations to his campaign. In particular, a senior official in the Turkish diplomatic establishment, who facilitated many straw donations to Adams, also arranged for Adams and his companions to receive free or discounted travel on Turkey's national airlines, which is owned in part by the Turkish government, to destinations including France, China, Sri Lanka, India, Hungary, and Turkey itself. The Turkish official and other Turkish nationals further arranged for Adams and his companions to receive, among other things, free rooms at opulent hotels, free meals at high-end restaurants, and free luxurious entertainment while in Turkey. Eric Adams, the defendant, and others working at his direction repeatedly took steps to shield his solicitation and acceptance of these benefits from public scrutiny. Adams did not disclose the travel benefits he had obtained in annual financial disclosures he was required to file as New York City employee. Sometimes, Adams agreed to pay a nominal fee to create the appearance of having paid for travel that was in fact heavily discounted. Other times, Adams created and instructed others to create financial paper trails, falsely suggesting that he had paid or planned to pay for travel benefits that were actually free. And Adams deleted messages with others involved in this misconduct, including, in one instance, assuring a co-conspirator in writing that he would always delete her messages. In September 2021, the Turkish official told Eric Adams, the defendant, that this was his turn to repay the Turkish official by pressuring NYC's fire department, FDNY, to facilitate the opening of a Turkish consular building, a 36-story skyscraper, without fire inspection, in time for a high-profile visit by Turkey's president. At the time, the building would have failed FDNY inspection. In exchange for free travel and other travel-related bribes in 2021 and 2022, arranged by the Turkish official, Adams did as instructed. Because of Adams' pressure on the FDNY official responsible for the FDNY's assessment of the skyscraper's fire safety was told he would lose his job if he failed to acquiesce. And after Adams intervened, the skyscraper opened as requested by the Turkish official. New York City's Public Matching Funds Program. The CFB, as we'll call it from here forward, oversees and administers a publicly funded campaign finance system for municipal elections in NYC, including a matching funds program that provides eligible candidates with public funds to match small donor contributions from NYC's residents, the matching funds. Matching Funds Program is intended to incentivize candidates to finance their campaigns by engaging with average New Yorkers instead of seeking large contributions from a limited number of influential donors, and to empower more candidates to run for office, even without access to wealth. For mayor candidates in the 21 and 25 election cycles, the Matching Funds Program operated, as relevant here, in the following manner. A. Candidates that collected a minimum number of contributions raised a minimum amount of qualifying contributions from NYC residents and were eligible to opt into the Matching Funds Program. B. Candidates that opted into the Matching Funds Program were required to file and signed and notarized certification attesting, among other things, that they understood that they were responsible for reading, understanding, and complying with, and ensuring their campaign's compliance with various statements, statutes, and rules, that submitting fraudulent claims for matching funds or otherwise furnishing false information to the CFB would constitute a fundamental breach of the obligations affirmed as part of the certification, and that, in the event of such a breach, they would be ineligible to receive additional matching funds and would be required to return all funds previously received. The matching funds program would provide up to $8 in matching funds for each $1 of eligible contributions, up to $250 from New York City residents. In other words, for each eligible contribution of at least $250, a participating candidate could collect up to $2,000 in matching funds. The matching funds program would provide up to $12,952,888 in matching funds for mayoral candidates during the primary and general elections in the 2021 election cycle, and up to $14,101,334 in matching funds for qualifying mayoral candidates during their primary and general elections in the 2025 election cycle. D. Certain kinds of contributions were prohibited entirely, including straw contributions, contributions from a person who was not a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident, contributions from foreign entities and organizations, contributions from corporations, and contributions that were made, received, solicited, or otherwise obtained in violation of any local, state, or federal law. E. Through its campaign finance handbook, the CFB informed candidates that their campaign staff that straw contributions were not only prohibited, but also illegal. F. Candidates that opted into the matching funds program were required to regularly submit to the CFB disclosure statements that, among other things, identified all contributions received during a particular reporting period, regardless of whether those contributions were eligible for matching funds. These disclosure statements were required to be submitted electronically by either the candidate or the campaign's treasurer using a unique login. In order to submit a disclosure statement, the filer was required to identify him or herself as either the candidate or the treasurer and electronically sign a verification stating, quote, "This disclosure statement is true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief, and I understand that by clicking verify below, I am electronically signing my disclosure statement, which shall have the same validity and effect as a signature affixed by hand," unquote. Eric Adams, the defendant, was aware that the law prohibiting foreign conduit and corporate contributions existed. At least as early as 2018, Adams began raising money to fund his first mayoral campaign, the 2021 campaign. In September of 2019, Adams submitted the required certificate to opt into the matching funds program. During the 21 election cycle, he and persons acting at his directions regularly submitted and signed disclosure statements attesting to the veracity of the information being provided to the CFB. Adams won this party's primary election in July 2021 and was elected mayor in November 2021. While serving as mayor, Adams again opted into the matching fund programs and began fundraising for his 2025 re-election campaign. The 2025 campaign, and together with the 2021 campaign, is referred to as the Adams campaign here forward, continuing at least to the date of his indictment. Adams travels to Turkey and begins accepting illegal campaign contributions and personal benefits. Within a year of becoming Brooklyn Borough President, Eric Adams, the defendant, began building relationships with foreign nationals who were seeking influence with him. In the years that followed, Adams solicited and knowingly accepted illegal campaign contributions and improper personal benefits from those foreign nationals. In 2015, he travels to Turkey and establishes corrupt relationships. In 2015, Eric Adams, the defendant, took 2 official trips to Turkey. His first trip, in August 2025, was arranged by the Turkish Consulate General in New York City and was paid in part by the Turkish consulate and also in part by a for-profit educational conglomerate based in Istanbul, the Turkish University. The second trip in December of 2015 was arranged by the Turkish official and a Turkish entrepreneur called the promoter, whose business includes organizing events to introduce Turkish corporations and business people to politicians, celebrities, and others whose influence may benefit the corporations and business people. For both trips, Adam received free business class tickets on the Turkish airline. Unlike Adam's subsequent travel with the Turkish airline, he reported his 2015 travel to Turkey on financial disclosure forms filed with NYC Conflict of Interest Board, the COIB, as he was required to do annually and at all times relevant to this indictment. The 2015 travel to Turkey by Eric Adams, the defendant, involved several people relevant to the events described in this indictment, including the Turkish official, this is A, who helped arrange Adams' travel to and within Turkey in 2015, and who later steered illegal contributions and improper gifts to Adams to gain influence and, eventually, to obtain corrupt official actions from Adams. B, the promoter, who arranged straw contributions to both of the Adams campaigns and favorable treatment in Turkey for Adams in 2017 and 2019, hoping to leverage Adams' considerable fame in Turkey to benefit the promoter's clients. C, the owner and chairman of the Turkish University, Businessman 1, who met with Adams in Istanbul in 2015 and again in Brooklyn in 2018. Businessman 1, who was considering a business venture in Brooklyn, also sought to enhance his own status by befriending Adams, later made illegal contributions to the 21 campaign. D, a volunteer at Brooklyn Borough Hall, the Adams staffer, who then served as Adams' liaison to Eastern Europe Muslim countries, including Turkey. The Adams staffer subsequently became a paid member of Adams' staff at Borough Hall and later City Hall. The Adams staffer accompanied Adams on his 2015 travel to Turkey and later, at Adams' directions, coordinated many of the illegal campaign contributions and improper personal travel benefits relevant to this indictment. E, a wealthy Turkish businesswoman, the businesswoman, who later gave Adams multiple free or steeply discounted stays at a luxury hotel she owned, and organized contributions to the 2021 campaign. In 2016, Adams secretly begins accepting free luxury travel. After Eric Adams, the defendant, first traveled to Turkey in 2015, the Turkish official introduced Adams to the Turkish Airlines general manager in New York City area, the airline manager. In 2016 and twice in 2017, Adams solicited and accepted free and heavily discounted luxury air travel from the Turkish Airlines as part of the Turkish officials' efforts to gain influence over Adams on 3 separate trips. A, in 2016, Adams and his domestic partner traveled to India. Adams' partner purchased economy class tickets for herself and Adams on the Turkish Airlines for approximately $2,286. 2 days before their flight was scheduled to depart, Adams accepted upgrades for himself and his partner by the airline to business class at no cost. Business class is the highest class offered by the Turkish Airlines. Had Adams and his partner purchased their business class tickets, the tickets would have approximately costed $15,000 total. In July, and this is B, in July and August of 2017, Adams, a close relative of Adams, and a member of his staff, who has served as Adams' liaison to the Asian American communities in NYC, traveled to Nice, France, Istanbul, Turkey, Colombo, Sri Lanka, and Beijing, China. Adams accepted free business class tickets from the airline worth more than $35,000 total for himself and his companions. C. In October 2017, Adams and the Adams liaison traveled to Nepal through Istanbul and Beijing. Adams accepted free business class tickets from the airline for himself and the liaison for the flights from New York to Istanbul and Istanbul to Beijing, and for the corresponding return flights, worth more than $16,000 total. Because the Turkish airline provided free travel benefits worth tens of thousands of dollars to Eric Adams, the defendant, he flew the Turkish airline even when doing so was otherwise inconvenient. For example, during the July and August 2017 trip, Adams' partner was surprised to learn that Adams was in Turkey when she understood him to be flying from New York to France. Adams responded in a text message, "Transferring here. You know first stop is always Istanbul." When Adams' partner later inquired about a trip to Easter Island, Chile, Adams repeatedly asked her whether the Turkish airline could be used for their flights, requiring her to call the airline to confirm that they did not have routes between New York and Chile. Eric Adams, the defendant, also accepted valuable travel and hospitality benefits for himself and his companions during their time in Turkey. For example, during a stay in Istanbul during the July and August 2017 trip, Adams, the Adams relative, and the Adams liaison accepted a heavily discounted stay at the St. Regis Istanbul, arranged by the promoter. The St. Regis Istanbul is owned by the businesswoman, who sought to ingratiate herself with Adams. Adams stayed in the Bentley suite, portions of which are depicted here. Although the Bentley suite for 2 nights would have cost approximately $7,000, Adams paid a total of less than $600. In order to conceal the valuable flight, hotel, and other travel benefits that Eric Adams, the defendant, accepted from foreign nationals seeking influence over him, he did not disclose any of these trips on his annual disclosure forms, despite a legal requirement to do so. By law, certain NYC elected officials and candidates for elected office are required to file annual reports with the COIB, disclosing their financial information and outside positions and interests, as well as those of their spouses or domestic partners and unemancipated children. The purpose of their annual disclosure law is to provide transparency to ensure there are no prohibited conflicts of interest between public servants' official duties and their private interests. That was A, by the way. B. At all relevant times to this indictment, Adams was an elected New York City official required to file annual disclosure forms with the COIB. C. On his 2016 and 2017 COIB annual disclosure forms, Adams was asked whether he had received any gift or gifts from the same person, entity, or donor or affiliated donors who had no business dealings with the city other than a relative in the total amount or with a total value of $1,000 or more during this year. He answered no. Adams also answered no to a similar question asking whether he had received any gifts worth $50 or more from a person, entity, donor, or affiliated donors who did have business with NYC. D. The valuable travel benefits Adams solicited and accepted, including the free business class upgrade for travel from New York to India, the free business class tickets for 3 from New York to France, Turkey, Sri Lanka, and China, the heavily discounted stay in the Bentley suite, and the free business class tickets for 2 from New York to China through Turkey for each of the 16 and 17 trips described in paragraphs 12 through 14, each exceeded $1,000 in value, as would be obvious to anyone who, like Adams, had extensive experience traveling overseas. Eric Adams, the defendant, also sought to conceal the luxury travel benefits he solicited and accepted from foreign nationals by creating fake paper trails, which members of his staff assisted in his direction. For example, Adams attempted to create a fake paper trail suggesting he had paid for his 2017 flights on the Turkish airline, which in fact he did not. A. As Brooklyn Borough President, Adams employed a scheduler who managed his appointments, meetings, and other official events. Despite her status as a New York City employee, the scheduler was used by Adams to perform personal tasks for him, such as collecting rent at a Brooklyn property he owned. Adams also assigned his scheduler to pay various personal expenses for him, after which he would reimburse the scheduler in cash. B. In 2017, Adams sent a series of emails to the scheduler directing the person to pay for the free 2017 flights he and his companions had already taken on the Turkish Airlines, but the emails provided inconsistent explanations. In sum, Adams suggested that the Adams scheduler should pay by using Adams' credit card, while in others, Adams claimed to have left cash in an envelope for the scheduler to send to the Turkish airline. C. For example, on November 25th, For example, on November 25th, 2017, Adams sent an email to the Adams scheduler saying that with respect to the July trip, meaning July and August of 2017 on the airline, quote, "I left you money for the international airline in an envelope on top of your desk. Please send it to them." C. For example, on November 25th, 2017, Adams sent an email to the Adams scheduler saying that with respect to the July trip, meaning the July and August 2017 trip on the airline, quote, "I left you money for the international airline in an envelope in your top desk drawer. Please send it to them," unquote. Given the cost of the international business class tickets for Adams alone, his email suggested that he left, at a minimum, well over $10,000 in cash in the Adams scheduler's drawer to send to the airline as payment for flights he did months earlier. He did not do that, as records from the Turkish airline confirm that Adams did not pay the airline in cash or otherwise because the tickets were complimentary. In return for travel benefits the Turkish official provided or arranged in about 2015 and 2016, Eric Adams, the defendant, granted a political request from the Turkish official. Prior to Adams' 2015 travel to Turkey, which he knew and disclosed to the COIB had been funded by, among other entities, the Turkish consulate, the Turkish airline, and 3 separate municipalities in Turkey, Adams had maintained a relationship with the Turkish Community Center in Brooklyn. In or about 2016, the Turkish official told Adams that the community center was affiliated with a Turkish political movement that was hostile to Turkey's government, and that if Adams wished to continue receiving support from the Turkish government, he should no longer associate with the community center. Adams acquiesced. Adams begins accepting strong contributions and continues to receive luxury travel benefits. By 2018, Eric Adams, the defendant, began raising funds for the 2021 campaign. Adams was closely involved in the details of fundraising, which he regarded as vital to his success. As he texted a close supporter later in the campaign, quote, you win the race by raising money. Have to raise money. Everything else is fluff," unquote. Adams further explained, quote, "I have a $7 million race. I have a clear plan to raise it, and each night we are executing the plan," unquote. Throughout the 21 campaign, Adams solicited and knowingly accepted straw donations, including from foreign sources, while continuing to secretly accept free and heavily discounted travel benefits from the Turkish official, the promoter, and the airline manager. As part of these efforts, Eric Adams, the defendant, solicited and knowingly accepted straw donations to the 2021 campaign that were facilitated by the Turkish official and the airline manager, among others. A. Beginning at least as early as April 2018, Adams asked the airline manager to raise money for the 2021 campaign, and the manager sought to organize a fundraiser. B. On June 14, 2018, the Turkish official exchanged messages with the Adams staffer asking, "How much can companies donate?" The Adams staffer explained that only individuals could donate to the 2021 campaign. On June 22, 2018, Adams attended a fundraiser for the 21 campaign. The airline manager, among others, organized and attended the event. Following the event, the Turkish official messaged the staffer asking for the list of participants of the June 22nd meeting. The Adams staffer then sent the official the list for 6/22/18, which included the names of various persons who donated to the 21 campaign in the preceding days or who donated in the following days, raising in excess of $15,000. D. A promotional flyer for the June 22, 2018 fundraiser listed as one of the fundraiser's hosts a friend of the airline manager who owned an airport transportation business, Businessman 2. In a series of messages exchanged with the Adams staffer, Businessman 2 stated that he had facilitated a straw donation through an associate. Records from the CFB show that the associate ultimately donated $3,000 in his own name and described himself as unemployed. As Eric Adams, the defendant also sought to arrange for his campaigns to receive unlawful contributions from Turkish nationals, which would be routed through U.S.-based straw donors. A. On June 22, 2018, the same day the fundraising event just described, the Adams staffer and the promoter discussed by text message a possible trip by Adams to Turkey. The promoter stated in part, "Fundraising in Turkey is not legal, but I think I can raise your money for your campaign off the record." The Adams staffer inquired, quote, "How much will Adams declare that the money here?" Unquote. The promoter responded, quote, "He won't declare it," or "We'll make the donation through an American citizen in the U.S., a Turk. I'll give him cash in Turkey. Or I'll send it to an American. He will make a donation to you." Unquote. The Adams staffer replied, quote, "I think he wouldn't get involved in such games. They might cause a big stink later on, but I'll ask anyway." Unquote. The Adams staffer then asked, quote, "How much do you think would come from you?" Unquote. Promoter responded, "Max 100,000. Adams staffer wrote, quote, 100,000? Do you have a chance to transfer that here? We can do it while Eric's in Turkey." Unquote. To which the promoter replied, "Let's think." After this conversation, the Adams staffer asked Adams whether the staffer should pursue unlawful foreign contributions offered by the promoter, and contrary to the Adams staffer's expectations, Adams directed that the staffer pursue the promoter's illegal scheme. B. In November 2018, Businessman 1, the wealthy Turkish national who owned the university for a for-profit educational conglomerate in Turkey, and whom Adams met in 2015, visited New York City. Adams and the Adams staffer met with Businessman 1 at Brooklyn Bureau Hall. At the close of the meeting, Businessman 1 offered to contribute funds to the 2021 campaign. Although Adams knew that Businessman 1 was a Turkish national who could not lawfully contribute to the U.S. elections, Adams directed that the Adams staffer obtain the illegal contributions offered by Businessman 1. Following up on this directive, Adams wrote to the Adams staffer that Businessman 1, quote, "is ready to help. I don't want his willing to help be wasted," unquote. As Adams directed, the staffer maintained contact with Businessman 1 through intermediaries, culminating in Adams accepting straw donation of Businessman 1's money, discussed below. In 2018, Eric Adams, the defendant, also continued to secretly solicit and accept free and heavily discounted luxury travel benefits provided by the Turkish official and the airline. In January 2018, Adams and Adams' partner traveled to Budapest, Hungary through Istanbul. Several months earlier, Adams' partner had purchased 2 economy class tickets on a Turkish airline for approximately $560 each. In December 2017, the Adams staffer, acting at Adams' direction, asked the airline manager to upgrade the tickets to business class, which he did for free. Had Adams and the partner purchased their business class tickets, the tickets would have cost more than $14,000 total. Consistent with his prior actions, Adams concealed this free and heavily discounted travel the airline provided by omitting it from his 2018 COIB disclosure form, despite the requirement to report it. All right, this seems to be as good a place as any to take a break, and I hope to have another video for you within the next day, if not sooner. This is 57 pages in total. I hope to have the remaining pages finished in the following video, but we shall see. Thank you for hanging out with me and for liking and subscribing. I haven't come up with a motto or slogan yet for the channel. I read boring indictments, just didn't seem to be thrilling enough to garner any interest, so I'm still thinking about it. But again, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.